Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the latest from Exmortus, Necrophony, out August 25th on Nuclear Blast. The album has 13 tracks, 59 minutes in length, and this is the band's 6th full-length studio album. They are an American melodic death metal band. As far as the design goes, I'm not a huge fan of this record from how it's put together. This takes nothing away from the quality of the individual songs, it's just that those pieces of the puzzle at the end of the day do not provide me with a clear picture of what the direction and purpose of the album was. Perhaps the reason for that is the length. This is their longest album to date. Even if you remove Iron Maiden's cover Moonchild from the track listing, you're still over the 50-minute mark. To me, that's a little bit too long for a record that has this experience, that has this soundscape. It takes away the playability from it. The album needed to be a little bit more concise, a little bit shorter, making you feel more integrated into the overall experience of the individual songs, transporting the journey of those tracks to the overall journey of the album. As far as the sound is concerned, I have to start off by talking about the production of this record, because the album sounds as good as it does because the production really helps define all the different elements that this album offers. It's a very textured, it's a very layered record. It's not straightforward. It's an album that has a lot of elements on each and every single song. And that is what allows you to lose yourself in the individual track experience. You feel like you're always pulling layers from the songs, you're always trying to dig deeper, and when you feel like you're reaching the bottom of the pit, there's still more to go. That is a great advantage to have on these songs, on these tracks, because it gives them a lot more than otherwise expected coming in. The other thing that I wasn't expecting coming in is this album to be as technical as it is. And that also adds warmth to the overall experience. This album really allows you to see that you can create a heavy, aggressive, melodic album at times, but it includes some technical elements in order to elevate the overall quality that the record has. It also allows them to express not only their creativity, but their ability as musicians on every single song. It feels like you're taking mini classes, either be bass, drums, or guitars. The classes are there for you to take, for you to enjoy, and see how far they can push their sound and even the genre, and see that there are absolutely no boundaries in terms of where they can go. This record offers that glimpse, specifically with those technical elements playing as much of a role as they do from start to end. This is still a very guitar-centric album all around. We cannot forget that. The guitars dominate the experience on this record. Look at the solos, for example. I felt like the solos on this album always added value. They always added a different piece to the puzzle. The solos also come with a different style, with a different approach, with a different production behind them, allowing them to separate themselves from everything else that is happening. It's a layer, but it's a layer that gets pulled out of the overall lasagna of layers that the songs have. This gives them more room to breathe, this gives them a bigger plateau to have, and allows them to be a lot more impactful on every single track. But the guitars are definitely the life force of this album. Everything starts and ends with that. The bass plays a big role because a lot of the technicality is not only on how the guitars are played, performed, executed. The bass, the sound, the way it's mixed also offers a certain level of technical death metal to the overall experience of this record. But do not expect the bass to come in consistently up front from start to end. It comes in as a sine wave. It comes upwards, downwards, upwards, downwards. Some songs having more of a distinct impact and a balanced impact from start to end. Other songs allowing you to feel like it's lost a little bit in the mix while still being an underlying element that controls the movement within. The drums have the ability to feel grounded. They create movement, but it's a movement that has oomph. And I think that's important on an album like this. They don't feel thinned out. They don't feel empty. They have substance. They have something within them, and that helps fill in the gaps. It allows the album to have more of a consistent outwards feel, outwards box that can hold the sound from within, caress the sound, hold it in its arms. The drums are definitely doing that. And the technicality that everything else is adding to it are the ability that they have of letting their music go outside of that box, but also finding ways of pulling it back in. That is the overall dynamics that you have between guitar, drums, and bass. Vocally, very consistent, perhaps the most consistent element on this album from start to end. It never really deviates. Same approach, same tonality, same delivery, but in an album that has a lot of movement internally, an album that has a lot of layers, that has a lot of texture, you need something that grounds the album. You need something that offers a sense of connection between the tracks, and I felt like on this record the vocals definitely did that from start to end, with a few exceptions like the instrumental track that's in the middle, early stages, middle of the record, and definitely the cover at the end, the Iron Maiden cover, Moonchild. Those two songs are the ones that break the mold. One because it doesn't have vocals, the other one because it's a different vocal delivery, a different vocal approach. Outside of those two songs, everything else feels very consistent. This is a lot more technical than I was expecting it, but that technicality took me by surprise. And because it took me by surprise, it was harder for me to get into the album immediately. And maybe one of the reasons why I don't see that sense of purpose, that sense of direction, is because it took me a few times to go through this record to adjust to the layers, to adjust to the soundscape, to adjust to the mixing, and be able to really understand at least the individual songs. So it's a great record from that point of view because it has a lot to offer. It's one of those albums that doesn't just give you everything, you kind of have to work for it. And the technicality of the album really surpassed my expectations, not just from what I was hoping to see coming in, but even from a quality standpoint. But it's an album that has taken me longer to get into than what I was expecting. The length doesn't help, but overall the quality of the individual tracks, it's still there. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Mask of Red Death. Thick, heavy sound, but layered enough in order to create depth to it. The bass popping in this song also defines that depth. It defines how deep you're going, how wide this track really is. It's a track that has a great tempo. It really pushes itself forward. The guitars push the listener forward, and the drums really help cement that momentum, cement that movement. Now, it's a great wall of sound when they come together and they start to come closer and closer and closer to the listener. Vocally very consistent from start to end. The guitar sound is very layered, very rich, has a great solo section that absolutely completes the track. Without it, the song would feel halfway there. So it's a song that has all the right ingredients in the right place at the right time. Next we have Test of Time. I love the duality, or the partnership, I should say, between the guitars and the bass on this track. Feels like there's more of a connection between those two elements, creating a great experience more so than the drums. The drums feel a little bit more detached from how well those two elements integrated with one another. It's a direct song in the verses, a little bit more layer and texture in the chorus. The vocals help define that experience in the chorus, that more texture experience, if you will. And then it's a song that has outstanding solos. Super explosive, super bright, really allowing you to feel like this is a very guitar-centric song, and there's a lot to offer guitar-wise from start to end. Different approaches, different melodies, different experiences. That solo is just that exclamation mark that makes you realize how important the guitars are, not just in the entire record, but specifically on this song in order to create the right ebbs and flows. Last but definitely not least, Necrophony. Now this is the last song on the album if you don't count the bonus track. But the song before this one is Overture. Overture is an instrumental track that bleeds into this song. Now, I don't see Overture as an individual song. I see Overture as the intro to Necrophony. So for me, those two songs are actually just one. There's no two, there's one. The two of them together complete each other. Separated, one feels like he's leading you towards something that never happens, and the other one feels like it's starting halfway through. So you have to really look at these two tracks as one. That's how I'm approaching this album, and I feel like when you put them together, this becomes a very melodic, a very driven, heavy and technical song all around. It's also very consistent, and it has a lot of hookiness in the melody, more so than any other song. The melody that this track has, the guitar melody that this song puts forward, there's hooks within the melody. Super important for a track to work beyond just using vocal hooks. Now the guitars allow you to feel the emphasis on that melody, allow you to feel the emphasis on their importance, and then that emphasis becomes even more clear with the great solos that this track puts forward. It allows you to see that it's a track that at times feels very one-directional, but that is just because it's very guitar focused and the guitars become the be-all and all of the overall construction and delivery of the song itself. This is it, Exmortus with Necrophony, out August 25th on Nuclear Blast. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.